Every year, the NBA playoffs separate the pretenders from the contenders. It's where iconic moments are born, where the greats cement their legacies, and where underdogs rewrite history. With the postseason tipping off on April 19th, we're just weeks away from the best basketball of the year. But before the chase for the title truly begins, let's dive into everything you need to know about the Western Conference playoff picture. The Western Conference race is so tightly packed that the gap between the number 2 and number 8 seeds is just 5 games, far closer than in the East, where the number 2 seed holds a massive 21-game lead over number 8. The battle for the West's number 3 seed will likely come down to the Lakers and Nuggets, though the Warriors, Clippers, and Timberwolves could still shake things up down the stretch. Shout out to the lower part of the Western bracket for keeping April regular season basketball meaningful. The Memphis Grizzlies, at 46-32, occupy the 8th seed and have struggled recently, going just 3-7 over their last 10 games and appearing to be on a downward spiral, dropping from 5th to 8th in a matter of a week. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 46-32 and 7-3 in their last 10 games. The 6th-seeded Golden State Warriors sit at 46-32, matching the Wolves' 7-3 record in their last 10 games and currently hold a half-game lead over them. The LA Clippers, currently the 5th seed, are also 46-32, but surging with an 8-2 record over their last 10 games. The Denver Nuggets have gone 3-7 over their last 10 games, including tough losses to the Wolves and Spurs. Just 10 days ago, they looked primed to lock up the 2nd seed, but now they're fighting just to hold on to 4th and secure home court advantage in the first round. In the 3rd spot, the Lakers are an even 5-5 in their last 10. Boosted by LeBron's return. They hold a 48-30 record, giving them a half-game cushion over the Nuggets. The Houston Rockets remain steady at the 2nd spot, with a 3.5-game advantage over their closest competitor, built on an impressive 8-2 stretch in their last 10 games. A cushion like this might even be considered breathing room by Western Conference standards. And at the very top, the Oklahoma City Thunder are sitting comfortably with a dominant 64-14 record. At 8-2 in their last 10, they're using the rest of the regular season to lock down home court advantage throughout the playoffs. To say the least, this race is packed. Let's take a closer look at each of these teams, shall we? At 46-32, the Memphis Grizzlies are still in the upper tier of the play-in tournament, but their trajectory is trending sharply downward. In a stunning move while still fighting for playoff positioning, they fired the winningest head coach in franchise history, along with one of his lead assistants, the very architect of their innovative motion offense that famously avoids ball screens and handoffs. If those terms sound familiar, it's because on-ball screens and handoffs have been offensive staples around the league for years. But Memphis decided to zag while everyone else zigs. This season, they've run the fewest on-ball screens and handoffs per game since the 2013-14 season, which is the first year that metric was tracked. And they rank dead last by a wide margin. Don't get me wrong, it's not like they've been bad all season. They still rank top 6 in offensive rating, just outside the top 10 in defensive rating, and lead the NBA in pace. Unfortunately, high pace might be the only thing that fits their oft-injured superstar Ja Morant. His numbers have been down across the board this season, and Desmond Banes have taken a hit as well. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been a two-way force all year, but his stellar play isn't enough if his star backcourt isn't at its best. The Grizzlies are in shambles, firing coaches weeks before the playoffs, scrambling to adjust their offense on the fly, sputtering defensively, and even getting into sideline shouting matches. This is not how you gear up for a postseason run. They held the 2nd seed as recently as late February, but have gone just 10-14 since, with most of those wins coming against bottom-feeding teams. The way things look right now for the Grizz, this is a recipe for a first-round exit. The Timberwolves, currently holding the 7th seed, just outside an outright playoff spot for now. If they manage to make it, it would mark their 4th consecutive playoff appearance. Last season, Minnesota reached the conference finals for just the 2nd time in franchise history. The vibes weren't great early in the season. Despite a rare playoff success, the Wolves made a financial decision to trade Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks in the offseason, and it took time for them to integrate their newcomers, especially the ball-dominant Julius Randle, who's far less of a floor spacer than Towns was. At times, they still look unsure of their offensive identity, despite a proven coaching staff and an explosive young superstar in Anthony Edwards. But their defense, ranked 6th in the NBA, is their calling card. No surprise for a team anchored by Rudy Gobert and a slew of perimeter pests ready to hound opposing ball handlers into oblivion. The Wolves have a real chance to hold their spot in the bracket and skip the play-in tournament altogether, as 4 of their 7 remaining games are against the tanking brigades known as the Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, and Utah Jazz. Whoever they end up facing in the first round will have their work cut out for them in what could be yet another entertaining Western Conference quarterfinal series. Next up, the Golden State Warriors, who finally managed to give Steph Curry a much-needed second playmaker by rescuing a miserable Jimmy Butler from Miami and restoring his basketball joy. Oh, what a brilliant move it was for Golden State. We broke it down previously on the channel. Just look at these numbers. The Warriors boast a 121.7 offensive rating with Butler. That figure would rank second in the entire NBA, trailing only the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's right, only one offense in the league has been more efficient than this upgraded version of Golden State. What about the defense? Slightly weaker compared to their offensive brilliance, but still elite. With Butler, they have a 111 defensive rating, which would rank in top 5. Room to grow, right? Of course, the standard small sample size disclaimer applies, and over a full season, these numbers would likely regress a bit. But historically, teams with this level of performance on both ends tend to go on deep playoff runs. Okay, numbers can lie sometimes, but you can't overlook the experience on the highest NBA stage with this group. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing. He dragged 2 lower-seeded Heat squads to the finals. And that's before you even count the collective finals trips of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and head coach Steve Kerr. With the chaos in the Western Conference standings, things could look different in a couple of days, and flip again 2 more times over the next week. Next up, we have the surging Clippers, who have exceeded expectations this season despite losing Paul George to free agency in the summer. They were without their star Kawhi Leonard earlier in the year, but held steady thanks to a rejuvenated James Harden, a surprising all-star level season from Norm Powell, and steady contributions from Ivica Zubac until the Claw returned from injury. Leonard is starting to play his best basketball at the right time too, averaging 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists over his last 6 games while shooting 54% from the field and an elite 45.5% from beyond the arc. Wait, what? Yup, talent was never an issue with Kawhi, but his spotty availability and checkered injury history, especially in the playoffs, make him the ultimate yeah but player. The Clippers don't lack experience on the coaching staff either, and the Tyronn Lue, Jeff Van Gundy pairing has repeatedly shown that when given time to craft a game plan, they can devise defensive schemes that frustrate even the best NBA players. Their season-long numbers are impressive as well. The Clips boast a top 4 defensive rating and the 6th best net rating, making them that proverbial team you probably don't want to see in the playoffs. Can the Clippers make a serious playoff run? Next up, Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. After dropping as low as 9th in the West in early December, the Denver Nuggets clawed their way back to the top of the bracket behind another MVP-level campaign from Nikola Jokic, hot streaks from Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., and unexpected yet welcome contributions from Christian Brown and Russell Westbrook. But that scorching run seems to have cooled off. The Nuggets are just 3-7 in their last 10. To be fair, Jokic missed some of those games, and considering he's the ultimate on-off king, the fact that Denver managed to win 2 of the Jokic-less battles could be seen as a minor point of pride. Can they go on another run and climb higher up the bracket? Unfortunately for Nuggets fans, that doesn't seem likely, unless Jokic goes supernova again. 2 of their remaining games are against Memphis and Houston, all playoff caliber teams. And Denver has often struggled against strong competition this season, holding a 14-21 record against teams above 500. Jokic is averaging a triple-double while having a career year in scoring, assists, steals, and 3-point shooting, both in volume and efficiency. When a 3-time MVP is setting multiple career best marks like this, you know something special is happening. His brilliance alone should be enough to push Denver into the second round, even as the Nuggets' supporting cast continues to decline around him since their championship run. The Los Angeles Lakers, fresh off a big win over the #1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder, are showing they have what it takes to compete with the best. With LeBron and Rui Hachimura back healthy, some might expect the Lakers to prioritize building chemistry and staying fresh for the playoffs. But that's not the message coming from head coach J.J. Redick, who has emphasized the need to play each remaining game with urgency to determine their own playoff seeding in the ultra-competitive Western Conference. The Lakers have been consistently solid against good teams, posting a 2016 record against opponents above 500. They can win with both defense and offense, and LeBron is still capable of coming up with stops like this. That's bad news for whoever they end up facing. Doncic has played his way into better shape, averaging 26.6 points, nearly 7 rebounds, and 7.4 assists over his last 5 games, making Nico Harrison look like a bigger fool with every game he plays for the purple and gold. Austin Reeves built strong chemistry with Doncic while James was sidelined and is now regarded as the best third option in the NBA. And LeBron, he can still be the best player on the floor in any given game, but can he sustain that over the course of a long series? Can Doncic and Reeves hold up defensively if opponents relentlessly attack them, just as the Celtics did to Luka in last year's finals? These are the questions that will determine how deep the Lakers can go this time around. The second-seeded Houston Rockets have been one of the biggest surprises of the season, boasting one of the youngest cores in the league, yet still managing to rack up 52 wins to date. They've also held their own against strong competition, with a 20-16 record against teams above 500, and have shown resilience in close games, going 8-5 in contests decided by 3 points or less. According to Basketball Reference's Playoff Probabilities report, the Rockets have a strong chance of holding on to the number 2 seed, which would allow them to wait for the winner of the Western Conference play-in tournament. Though Houston has few players with real postseason experience, they would still be clear favorites in a first-round matchup. The Rockets have dominated the regular season by excelling in the possession battle and fast break opportunities, but their offensive efficiency remains a concern. They still lack one more consistent shot creator, which could be a limiting factor in the playoffs. Jalen Green is still young, athletic, and capable of scoring with the best of them, but he remains inconsistent. One night, he'll drop 30-plus points, and the next, he'll find himself benched in the fourth quarter because of questionable decision-making and defensive lapses that drive head coach Ime Udoka mad. While Houston's offense is middle of the pack, their defense tells a different story. They rank top 4 in defensive rating, thanks to a combination of strong coaching and the right personnel. Even though Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, and Fred VanVleet aren't making any all-defensive teams anytime soon, the rest of the roster is packed with impact stoppers. Amen Thompson and Tari Eason have truly earned their Terror Twins moniker. Jabari Smith Jr. is a long, mobile big who protects the paint and can switch on the perimeter. Dylan Brooks is annoying to watch, but even more annoying for opposing scorers to play against. This stifling defense gives the Rockets a high floor, but their ceiling beyond the first round is questionable, especially if they have to hide their best scorers to keep smarter, more experienced teams from exposing them. Still, Houston fans will take any playoff basketball as a win because the memories of Kevin Porter Jr. jacking up 20 shots a game are still too fresh in their minds. Regardless of how far they go, this team deserves praise for their rapid turnaround, holding the 2 seed in the West after finishing 11th last season and 14th in 2022-23. We saved the best for last. The Oklahoma City Thunder took control of the Western Conference's top seed a month into the season and haven't let go since. This is what happens when you combine long-term planning, smart decision-making, and elite drafting and development. Lead executive Sam Presti and head coach Mark Daigneault should be Hall of Famers right now for the turnaround they've orchestrated in one of the NBA's smallest, least glamorous markets. Okay, I might be exaggerating, but only slightly. At the very least, they should write the definitive guide on how to build a championship team through the draft, accumulate assets, and develop talent the right way. The Thunder lead the NBA in defensive efficiency. MVP candidate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ranks 2nd in total steals, and somehow, he's probably the weakest defender in OKC's 4 most used lineups this season. That is bonkers. Speaking of that MVP candidate, Shai leads the NBA in scoring at 32.6 points per game and powers one of the league's top 3 offenses. He's surrounded by a versatile and skilled supporting cast featuring Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Lou Dort, masterfully supplemented by Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein in the offseason. OKC's metrics stack up with the best championship teams of this century. In fact, their net rating this season ranks 2nd only to the 1995-96 Bulls, the best in NBA history. That's right, The 72-win Chicago Bulls, led by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Among more recent champions, their net rating is nearly 2 points higher than the Steph KD Warriors and last season's Boston Celtics. At this point, it's hard to even bring up the usual nitpicks: lack of size, lack of playoff experience, because last season's playoff run and their offseason additions have addressed those concerns. To make a long story short, they should be in the finals. In fact, according to ESPN Bet, OKC is the current favorite to win it all, ahead of the Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers. Of course, this doesn't mean their playoff run will be smooth sailing. Every team has to battle through adversity and catch a few breaks along the way. But as far as postseason outlooks go, the Thunder's is as good as it gets. Drop your predictions in the comments. Who do you think will come out of the Western Conference? Which lower seed has a realistic chance to make a deep run? And if you're wondering about the Eastern Conference, don't worry, that breakdown is coming soon. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth basketball stories and analysis.